And so up first, as you might be able to see, is Bruno and Frederic, both speaking from France. In the middle of their night, it is after midnight for them, but they have arrived today. Thank you very much. And so over to you, Bruno and Frederic, talking to us about API and how REST and procmail can work together.
Thank you very much for the introduction and welcome everybody, especially for those of you down under. We'll try to make our best to cover the topic in the short amount of time that we have. So first, let me introduce myself. My name is Bruno Cornec. I'm working in Hewlett-Packard for the last 20 years now, but I've been doing with my friend Tux over there stuff since 93, 099 PL13, for those of you who know that. And I've been doing various set of stuff in the Linux and open source area, being upstream for some projects. And I've been happy to be, in fact, in Australia for previous linux.conf Australia conferences back in 2007, 2013, and 2014. And it's I'm very happy and glad to be able to talk with you again this year. And I will now pass the mic to Frederic, who will introduce himself.
Well, good day, everyone. My name is Frederic Passron, and I've been working for HP for the last 20 years as well. I think we joined HP nearly in the same year, Bruno and I. I've been working in HP in the pre-sales organization ever since. I mean, moving back and forth between, I would say local region like France to EMEA, then to worldwide. And I've been focusing on infrastructure management solution mainly from the early days of HPC down to the cloud days with OpenStack and now Kubernetes and all this stuff. I'm currently part of a team, which is the HP Dev Experience team. And we are delivering Hack Shack, and we're delivering a program that is called the HP Developer Community Program. And Hack Shack is one of the physical aspects of it that we were taking care of during the events, moving now to virtual. And as part of it, we were delivering workshops, and all of these hands-on training that we used to do live, we're now doing them virtual, and we're making them available as well. So they're using Jupyter notebooks, and really that's about it, I would say. And when I'm not doing the computing stuff and working for HP, as you can see in the background, I'm playing with hi-fi and building up some musical streamer as well, and sometimes asking Bruno to come over and give me some help with some coding, and that's about it.
Yeah,
really.
and so I can also bring some CDs that I have behind me as well, so that we can hear stuff together. So let's first talk about what we were working about. So Frederic gave you information about the activity, which is doing workshop on demand, and how does it work, and what infrastructure did we put in place, and what type of tools did we use to make all that work. So first, we have a student who is willing to pass a workshop on demand. And so he has first to look at our portal, the registration portal, register itself, and through the HTTP and his web browser, he will be able to make a query to our system. Our system will then discuss with a complete infrastructure which is private, in fact, which is not reachable from the outside, from the internet. So the first question we had when we wanted to put that infrastructure in place is say, okay, we have the registration portal which is hosted on Netlify. How do we make the discussion with something which is internal? And then we talk about, okay, everybody was doing, new stuff, the new kid in play. They want to play with REST API. They want to do HTTPS. So some new and really enjoying stuff. And I'm an old guy, and I said, okay, but you are behind the firewall. It's very complicated from a network perspective. You will have to put some proxies, and we will have security issues, and it will be very difficult. So I said, I would like to propose something which is, from my point of view, much simpler, which is to discuss from the portal here to the Jupyter Notebook server, the server hosting, in fact, the majority of activities that we need to handle to set up the infrastructure correctly. That server can really easily have an SMTP server, receive mail from the outside. It's difficult to have an interactive connection which is live between a client and server, but that's very easy when you deal with SMTP because it's asynchronous by essence. So we put that in place. And that server, in fact, which is hosting our Jupyter Hub infrastructure, is also equipped with postfix and procmail and process requests coming from that portal. And then using this information, it will talk to the backend appliances, which could be physical servers, which could be virtual machines, which could be containers, using SSH connection, using REST API, and it will set up, book in fact the environment, deploy the notebook for the students, create the student environment. And once all that is done behind the scene, it will then talk to our backend system and register really the user in our database, which is managing all the user information, workshop information, and which serve also as a base for HTTPS queries from the postfix Jupyter Hub server. Once this is done, we will then inform the user through, again, mail that he has successfully registered, that the workshop on demand is ready to use, and we give him the credentials that we will have to use to connect to the system and to be able to perform the workshop. And from now on, he has 4 hours to be able to perform the workshop he has booked through the system. So he logged on the system, he has access to the notebook. We have multiple type of workshops. We will disclose that a bit later on. And he will talk during his notebook, Jupyter notebook, so which is based on different set of kernels depending on the workshop we want to make. And during those execution of code through the notebook, the Jupyter notebook, he will talk to the backend infrastructure, which could host, as we said, different type of appliance depending whether he's performing a Git 101 type of workshop or a more complex MLOps HP container platform type of workshop, because we have a very large range of more introductory type of workshops and more high-end type of workshops depending on what people want to explore with regards to technology. So that's how the infrastructure is working, and we will demonstrate that to you just a bit later on. So we used, in fact, a mail API, not a REST and a very modern stuff, HTTPS and certificates and all that type of stuff. No. We are all guys. We do all type of stuff on our side to complement what is difficult to do with a full REST API. Not having a direct connection between the front-end in Netlify and that Jupyter Hub machine, mail is very convenient because mail can go through very complex network topology without any problem, going through the firewall, going to indirect, non-interconnected networks very easily. It provides for free a queuing system. You send mail, it's put in various queues up to the final system. It's redelivered in case you have issues. Of course, we want to have the most interactive way of working between the user making the request and the deployment of the infrastructure. However, having a queuing system is very helpful in that context. Then the server receiving the mail is using a small tool called procmail, which helps managing the API requests. And we have, like a REST API, we have verbs. So we have the verb create, we have the verb cleanup, we have the verb reset. And then we have some parameters that are not passed through JSON or that type of mechanism that you use with REST environment. But here we just use some parameters on the subject line and some other parameters in the body of the mail. So typically here we have the number of the student on the subject line and the name of the workshop in the body. And then we call a script. So we pass all that through a pipe to the procmail action script that we have created with the match which corresponds to the parameter which has been detected in the subject line. So it's easy to filter input, it's easy to manage parameters, and it's very easy to call a script which does all the dirty stuff behind the scene. And that script is a mix of shell script, Ansible playbooks, because we have a large infrastructure to deploy behind once we receive the request from the outside. Also, it was pretty easy to perform the test because we have another small script which has support for the same verbs as what our production environment has. And we just have to send a mail using those verbs to the local host system when we do the test on the machine. and it's pretty convenient to also make our test in parallel with a production. And we have logging and mechanisms like that coming for free. So as I said, the infrastructure to provision it, we use mainly Ansible. And why Ansible? So there are plenty of tools available. That's the one we know the best, so that's the one we decided to use. And Ansible is in charge in our environment to manage different type of activities. First, it's in charge of the platform installation. So our Jupyter Hub machine itself is deployed automatically from a deployment server with a minimum set of packages and software installed on it. And then we have a large Ansible playbook which does all the setup. And we did that because we wanted to be able to provide that feature to other teams inside HPE, able to reuse our development so they can set up very easily their own Jupyter Hub environment.
9 minutes left, Bruno.
Sorry?
Time is flying.
Yeah. I'm running. Ansible is doing conformity and convergence. Each night, we run an Ansible playbook to be sure that the platforms stay consistent. And also it does the student instantiation and the notebook instantiation for us so that every student is recreated from scratch every time a new notebook is generated. And we benefit from some interesting features inside the notebooks. We can use Jinja extensions, for example, inside the notebook to customize a notebook with regards to the student who made the request. So using the student ID and using some variables, we can really associate a student to a set of machines, to a set of VMs, etc., etc. Okay, now it's time to jump on the video.
Okay, so play the video. So this is the Hack Shack, and I think the links were copied over in the chat room. So you can see it's a nice website where you can actually perform different things. You can check out for some challenges, some information, some replays, videos of all the Hack Shacks and all the workshops that we have. And we'll be going to the workshop section. So within the workshop page, you can actually see some different tiles appearing there, and they're displaying the different workshops that we are proposing in our environment. So there's a few of them around the Venerable portfolio, a few around programming, and some other stuff around open source, like Gromet, which is our open source project within HP. So I choose Python 101 because I'm not a very good developer, so I need to take some courses on Python. So why not this one? So it's a discovery workshop on Python. So I just register, enter my email, my name, company name, and I read the terms and condition that tells me that I'm running for 4 hours only, and at the end of the 4 hours, everything will be wiped out from the system, including the work that I did. So I need to work during this 4 hours, which is largely enough to perform most of the workshop and actually check for the video as well at the same time. So I'm registering, and so at the very same time, this front-end application is calling the backend database and registering myself as a new customer. So I can see my name, the workshop I selected, the notebook, and the email that will be sent to me is a welcome email. That's the first one, the first of the series of 4 that will be sent. And I can see that I've been assigned with a student ID. So this information, the student ID, will be passed to the back end, as we can see. And this is the script that is running in the back end. So we can see the verb, creation, okay, that Bruno talked to you about a moment ago. And so we can see that is the customer name and customer email address and the ID of the student that will be delivering on. So the verb is to create. So the automation will be creating the necessary environment for the student 696, I would say. So it's checking the workshop ID, if I remember well. And from there, it'll be doing some other stuff around preparing the notebook, copying the notebook, generating a random password, informing the backend as well that we've been doing all the necessary work for him to tell the customer that his environment is ready. So obviously it'll be at the very end. So we're here just generating the random password, then we're doing the Ansible copy. So we're using the playbook to actually copy over all the necessary notebooks into the students folder, and we're erasing everything by default before copying. That's a kind of a security measure that we took. And at the end, we do actually 2 API calls passing over the password to the backend to be sent to the customer, and obviously setting up the customer as an active. So if I go back to the database and I do a refresh on the table, I will see that now I'm not anymore in, I mean, I need to check that I received my emails, which is the case. Okay, so this is my wonderful mailbox. Okay, this is the mail that I received. So in the first mail, this is a welcome message. I mean, giving me information about how to run the workshop, providing me information on the video replay that is, I would say, linked to the workshop, and so on and so forth. In the second email, I get the credentials, and I can actually click on the start workshop and register, and open up the browser to actually do the workshop. This actually feature will disappear over time. We will be providing an auto login feature directly in the email, where the customer wouldn't have to take anymore the password and type it in. So just a very quick, well, you can move on. This one is just to show that we've been deploying the workshop in the back end. Okay, so if you can move just a bit quicker, because I don't think we have that much time left. Yeah, you can't see it anymore. Okay, so we'll be jumping to the workshop itself. So I'm logging in now with the provided password. Okay, and I'll be launching my notebook, and then I'll be doing the workshop itself. So I'll be opening up, the README to introduce, the workshop, then doing the lab itself, which is a simple API, simple Python 101 lab. So it's going to be fairly easy. So obviously we'll need to show that we have plenty of kernels available. This one is the Python 3 kernel, obviously based workshop. And this is the workshop itself. So what is Python? And now you just execute the different cells. So the notebooks are based, on Markdown and cells where you can actually run some codes. So this is only just simple Python code for people who want to learn Python. So you can move on quicker if you don't mind, Bruno. And we'll move to obviously the rest. So once I'm done with the workshop, I can fill up the survey, obviously, because we need your feedback. And actually, that helps us to define what will be the future of the content that we'll be providing to you. So I'm logging out, and obviously, what I'll be doing now is switch up the time to go quicker in the environment. So rather than waiting for the 4 hours, I'm just, hacking the database to tell him this is the end of the 4 hour window, and just do the necessary automation now to clean up the environment. Okay, so we've got 2 minutes left, so you can pass quicker on the rest. So just to show you that the database will show now that I'm in expiring mode, and then I will be expired. Then I'll receive 1 minute left, so it's getting way faster than I think. Okay, so just I think we can go with the end of the video, because it will only show the very same thing, which is the reset environment, providing the very same set of step. The verb will be different in the sense that now it's going to be a cleanup verb, and it will be doing all the necessary action. That is to say, cleaning up the environment, erasing the content, changing the password, informing the backend database that we have done the cleanup. So with the providing the new password, setting the customer to inactive, and that's about it really. And the automation could be much more complex in some cases, because some of the workshops would need some LDAP, would need some reset procedure that would be more, I would say, complex than just erasing a simple content of a folder. And so depending on the workshops, we are doing different things. So it's time to wrap up Ewan is saying, so we can shut the video and maybe go back to the very end of the slides. And so
so everything is managed under Git. We have currently 10 workshops developed using that way. It's built on a Ubuntu 2004 distribution right now. We were working on a port to CentOS as well to have to cover other needs internally inside HPE. We have multiple Jupyter kernels automatically installed during the installation procedures, and we are working to publish 3 more workshops per month and work on the CI/CD stuff and some other.
One today.
And here you have in the presentation, and the presentation is available online. You will have all the links to be able to discuss with the developer community and access. The last one is allowing you to access the workshop on demand that you have seen, to pass the workshop if you are interested.
Thank you very much. We're going to have those slides up on the sysadmin.miniconf.org site on the program there, so you'll be able to grab those links from there. Thank you, Bruno. Thank you, Frederic. Both of them have said that they will jump into the chat for a few minutes to answer any questions that you might have that we didn't get a chance to get to. And then we will be back in about 10 minutes with our next presentation from Michael. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.